Hello, it's Smikey here again. We are back on my 2002 GMC 2500 HD. It's got the 6.6 liter Duramax, and I'm having an issue. I'm going to see if I can get it to duplicate here. So you start the vehicle up, you put it in gear, and what's happening right there, just happened, see that? Your indicator starts flashing, and if I go to accelerate, it's kicked me in neutral. So I've got a scanner hooked up here. We're going to go into powertrain. This has got the, it's going to be a little bit hard to see just because of the colors of the screen versus trying to pick it up with the camera, but this has got the Allison 5-speed. And this is federal emissions. So engine and transmission, we're going to go into transmission here. We're going to check codes. And I'm going to try and pick that up, but that says no codes present. So let's go back out. And let's check out data. Okay, this is what I want. Alright, down here. Gear commanded. Gear commanded right here. And current gear. So it's showing that we're in zero. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in the park. And let me just get this up here so maybe we can see both. I'm going to bring this back down into drive. So now my gear commanded is 1. And right there, did you see it just kicked out back into 0? And my indicator's flashing. So no codes. And it typically does this at idle. I haven't had it kick into neutral when I've been driving it. It's only been at idle with my foot on the brake. So let's go see if we can fix this. I've got a part here. This is called a park neutral safety switch, or a range switch, or a neutral safety switch. There's lots of different names for them. But essentially this guy's job is to tell you what gear you're in. Sorry, not to tell you what gear you're in, but as you select it, it's to tell the TCM or the PCM what gear you're in. So I think this is faulting, telling us that we are not in a gear when we actually are. Or it's not picking up the position as we shift it. So let's go ahead and change that out. First thing to do is to match up your new part with the old part here. So I've got a 2 connector range switch. Got a bolt hole here, bolt hole there, and then your shift rod right here, which matches up. Next thing to do is we might be changing the position of the gears. Right now it's in park, so I've got the wheels blocked so it doesn't roll. So let's go ahead and pull off some of these connectors. So that's the safety tab that I just broke. Some of these can be really seized in there, so we might even have to use a little bit of heat, get them to release. I don't know why, but on these range sensors, They connectors like to seize in there for some reason. And just that little bit of heat is probably going to make the difference. And that guy's out. Some kind of sticky sealant on there. That one looked like someone put something to seal it up. Something sticky. We're gonna get that cleaned up when we put things back together. So that's our connectors off. Let's go to the shift rod. So again, wheels are blocked and it's in park right now. And then just gently wiggle this back and forth till it comes off. Now one thing to note here while I've got one bolt undone is these slots here are elongated. So by rotating this up or down, you can actually line up your gears. And what I mean by that is in park, if this is shifted slightly, it might actually show neutral on your instrument cluster or on the scanner. So by shifting this, we can actually make park actually show up as park. And then you'll check all your gears. So reverse will be in reverse, and you move the shifter back and forth a little bit to make sure if it moves slightly that it stays in reverse and that it doesn't show that it goes to a different gear. And if it does, then you adjust a little bit more until whatever gear you're selecting, if you just move it slightly in that gear, it stays in that gear. And then that's adjusted. We'll get the last bolt here. Okay, so what we're trying to do now is just slide it over top of the shift fork, or shift rod, sorry. And we might have to take off our front drive shaft. Oh, no, we're lucky. Okay. A lot of corrosion and debris in there. Get a little bit of more fuel economy by knocking off some of this dirt. Weight savings. Just got a little bit of brake clean. Just try and clean off some of that sealant, whatever kind of sealant that is. For putting this back together, this is prone to getting water in it, and I think that's why they put this basically glue in here. So what we're going to be using instead of a glue is we're going to be using dielectric grease, which dielectric grease does not enable electricity to flow, it inhibits it. So if we've got dielectric grease here, hopefully we don't get shorting in between the two terminals. It's an insulator. I've got a couple of little diamond files here, I'm just going to gently go into the connector here just to clean off any of that sealant that might be on the terminals. Being careful not to open up the terminals more, because we want a good connection. I just don't want to have the sealant on the connectors in it not making a contact. A little bit of dielectric grease. Here's the new range switch. It's got a lockout here to keep it in a set gear. I'm not sure what gear that is right now. This one also has a little foam seal on the back to help keep water out. And with that lock in place, we're not able to sneak it in without our drive shaft. So I'm going to carefully remove this. I'm not going to turn this, so that's pointing right to here, which is pointing right to there. So if it does move, we can put it back if we need to. And I think right now our position is actually going to be not in park. Probably neutral, so that would be reverse and that would be neutral right there. Just gonna ease it on. I'm going to get in here with a little bit of sandpaper and clean that up. Okay, so this is the neutral position. Then we're getting lined up like that. I'm going to get my bolts in. We'll get the scanner down here and we'll see what gear we're in. Now you don't need to use the scanner. You can just look on your instrument cluster and do what I told you with the gear shifter. In fact, I might do it that way just for you guys that won't have a scanner, so you can see. So that guy's snug, the back one's snug, but I can still rotate it. We need to plug these in. A little bit of silicone lubricant on these weather seals helps things to go together pretty well if you're fighting a connector. Okay, that one's fine then. Just try spraying just a tiny bit into the connector here. I think it's still that sealant that was on the connector on the end of it. Gonna try and clean off some more of that sealant stuff. It's really caked on. All that is the sealant that was in there before. Just pop the end off this connector, it just slides back on. Don't know if you can see this, but that little black piece I popped off was actually part of the range switch inside. So this is actually part of the range switch, that's why I wasn't going in all the way. Why I thought that just popped off, was a lot of connectors, they'll have a plate back here. You pop the plate off and then you can undo the locks on your pins and pull your wires out. But I think that was part of our range switch. So again, just a small amount of dielectric there, since we've been cleaning it off every time we take it out. And we'll try and get this back in now. Perfect. Fit perfect. And that's nice and snug. Okay, I'm not going to put the lock in here until we go up top and check out our position. I'm going to move the transmission back into park. So that would be 2 forward. That's not going on there very well, so I'll put this into neutral and then I'll put this back into neutral. Again, my wheels are still locked, so it's not going to work. You got a proper set of pliers here now, so that's reverse, and that would be our neutral. And we should be in neutral down here. So we can maneuver that on a little bit better. Pliers or channel lock for holding this, and you're just going to get this guy tight. So now we're going to go up top and we're going to adjust. So we just got back up top and we are in neutral, and that's what we were down below. So this is a little bit out of adjustment, so right now I should be in drive. So we're going to go back down, adjust it till we get into drive, snug it up a little bit, and then go back and forth until we get this into the proper gear. So for drive, we would go that way a little bit. I'm going to snug up this bolt. Okay, we're showing drive here now. Let's go back into neutral. So this is what I mean by moving the shifter around. So I'm staying in neutral, in drive, staying in drive, third, staying in third, second, first, reverse, I'm back in the park. So we're still a little bit out there. So make another adjustment, tighten it up because it might have moved. Right there will be our drive. And we'll tighten that up. This would be a point when, if you had 2 people, that'd make the job a lot faster. Okay, and it's showing we're in drive. 3rd, 2nd, 1st, drive, neutral, reverse, and then park. I'm going to tighten that up and then we'll retest. If your range switch or park neutral safety switch, or the other names that they call it, is out of adjustment, your vehicle's only going to let you start in park and neutral. If it shows that it's in any other gear, it's not going to start. The key is back off. So at no time do we want to unplug our range switch with the key on, because that will set a code and then we'll have to clear them later. So it's best just to not do it that way. We're unplugging the connector so we can get back to that back bolt and tighten that up. Final time plugging it back in. We'll put that little safety clip back in. And there we go. We'll go back up top and test it again. Alright, the truck's back on. Let's just check codes while we're here. And it'll be hard to pick that up, but no codes. That's because we didn't have it unplugged while we had the key on. So let's go back into data. I'm going to change this to a graph so it's a little bit easier to see. So what we're looking at is gear commanded and current gear. So let's start this up. Well, it's still doing it. I've been messing around with this for a little bit. Right now I'm in neutral with my foot on the brake, and look at the output RPM. I'm going to put into drive with my foot on the brake. So the output RPM is 0. Which it should be because I'm not moving. But this time when I put it back into gear, my output RPM is ranging from 60 to, well, just over 0 to 60. And now I'm flashing again. We're up to 65 RPM, 69, and it just kicked us out. So that neutral safety switch, all that part of that had come apart in that lower connector, and I think that glue or that sealant, I think that was actually from internally in the range sensor. So I'm going to leave the range sensor in, but I think I'm going to change the speed sensor, so that is back on the transfer case, and then we'll test it again. This is the new speed sensor here. So that's what it looks like. It's got a pickup there, 2 wires, and this is 19 to get that guy out. And it's located right here on the back of the transfer case. So we're going to get that off. I'm gonna clean some dirt from around there before I pull that sensor out. There it is. 2-wire sensor. It comes with its own O-ring right there. So let's get this guy back in. And just snug. That's all you need to do. And we're clicked in. All right, let's test this out again. Looking on the wiring diagram, this is our vehicle speed sensor, so this is the one that's in the transfer case. It comes up here and goes through a connector, vehicle speed sensor adapter, and then continues on to the TCM. This, as far as I can tell, is just a pass-through connector. So if you had a 2-wheel drive truck, it would stop here, and then a 4-wheel drive truck, they extend it down to here. So let's try and cut this out and see if that fixes the problem. So on the wiring diagram, it shows a light green with a black trace, which is that wire there on this side, and then a purple with a white trace, which is that one. So that makes me pretty confident that we've got the right set of wires. And then on this side, the colors are supposed to be light green with black and purple with the white. So we've got our light green with the black, and this other one is a purple with the white. So we'll join those straight across, purple to purple, green to green. Perfect. Those are joined up and it's shrunk in. The glues come out of the edges, which is what we want. I'm going to individually wrap them with some electrical tape and then wrap them together. Perfect. Let's give that a go. So that's what we ended up cutting out. It's kind of weird how on the wiring diagram they call this a vehicle speed sensor adapter. I guess it really is. I was just looking for something else the first time I was checking it out. Still not working. The output speed sensor is out of the transfer case right now and just sitting away from anything metal. I'm currently in gear with my foot on the brake and having absolutely no issues. Normally when I put it into reverse with my foot on the brake, the output speed RPM moves around. So I ended up chatting with one of my friends, and what we ended up doing was just backing off the speed sensor, and we continued to back it off until that kind of the stray RPM that we were getting out of the transfer case was gone. What I think was happening is I think the transfer case had a little bit of wear, and when we were in gear, the speed sensor was rattling back and forth, and the speed sensor was picking that up as actual RPM. So once we backed that off, we road tested it, and we didn't have any problems with it shifting. So as a permanent solution, we put an aluminum washer underneath the O-ring on that speed sensor, and I didn't have any more issues after that. I know this was a little bit of a weird one. For me, it was hard to kind of figure out where to go with this issue, and so I hope you guys found this educational or useful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.